Well, there are cars back out on track. Good morning and welcome back to Oulton Park. It is a lovely sunny morning, a few clouds in the sky, but the blue sky is certainly coming out and the sun is shining ahead of this second qualifying for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic Series. It's a race series, but it's not a formal championship. Prizes are awarded to class winners on a race-by-race basis. And well, the big benefit is we get to see some retro Ferrari action from the mid-70s to much, much later. Some brilliant cars out on track. We'll run through what kind of cars we're looking at. My name is Harry Benjamin. I'll be guiding you through all the action. Alongside me is Alan Hyde in the commentary box. And Alan, yesterday's race, the first race for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic of the season as well, well, it was a little bit wet.
It was a bit wet, and there is the legacy of that rain in just little patches around the circuit. They're finding out now because this their second race of the weekend. Different conditions, but they are going to have to be careful. We see the sunlight just glinting on that puddle in the middle of the circuit. There are little patches around the circuit where it's not completely dry.
Certainly, as they're just being led around, we've got an absolutely eclectic range of Ferraris on display. A 308 GT4, a 328 GTB, a 348 Challenge, 328 GTS, a Mondial T, and an F355 Challenge. There's quite a few of them as well. And they're split up into different groups. We have the Group 2 cars, which are the 308 GT4 cars, mainly lightly modified cars, up to 3 litres. Then we have Group 3, which contains the 328 GTBs, unmodified cars over 3 litres, followed by the Group 4, which also contains a 328 GTB, a 348 Challenge, a 328 GTS, and a Mondial T, lightly modified cars over 3 litres. And then the final Group 5 modified cars over 3 litres, and that is mainly consisting of the F355 Challenge cars as they line up on the grid. And we get ready for race 2 and all the action coming your way. It's quite a big grid, so it does take a little bit of a while for all of the cars to start lining up, but so big, in fact, it goes around the corner when you can see it on the big screens that you can't actually see the last runners in the field.
That green flag, it comes at the back, we're ready to go.
There it is, and we will be racing once more imminently. Wayne Mars at the front of the field in the F355 Challenge on the left-hand side as you look at them in the red and white car. The green flag waves. It is all eyes to the lights and foot to the floor as we get underway once more for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic, and it's an excellent start from Wayne Mars, who leads his way through as they come round and make their way into turn 1. Nice and steady they go. Brilliant display of multiple eras, iconic cars coming through. We've got the number 28 red Ferrari as well. Keep an eye on that beautiful looking car. And that is Miles Poulton in the 328 GTS.
I mean, they look beautiful anyway. Of course, it's a huge mix of different eras for Ferraris. But in the sunshine with blue sky looking over Oulton Park, and it's great to see lots of people here as well today. There'll be some really very artistic photograph opportunities around the circuit here at Oulton Park today. Absolutely beautiful field.
It certainly is, isn't it? Well, this is the grid as it lines up as they make their way round. Once more, it's Wayne Mars on pole alongside Chris Butler. Christopher Compton Goddard is in third ahead of Vance Kearney. It's an all F355 Challenge front row, except for the 328 GTB that's up there. Tim Walker, Richard Mosley make up row 3. Then it's Colin Sauter and Tristan Simpson in 7th and 8th, making up row 4. Row 5 is Andy Riddick in the 328 GTB alongside Peter Fisk, who won in that class, in his Group 3 class. He starts from 10th, ahead of Darren Mills, and Ray Ferguson going from 11th and 12th. Miles Poulton is 13th on row 7 alongside a 308 GT4 in the hands of Richard Fenny. Another 308 GT4 behind them, William Morwood, and the Mondial T, the sole Mondial T, Tony Claringbould, going from 16th on the grid in row 8. And the final row, 9th, 17th, Timothy Shearman in the 328 GTB, and Peter Mosley in a 308 GTB2, going from 18th on the grid. And it certainly was a bit of a action-packed race at times yesterday for Peter Fisk, who found himself in a little bit of a spin at one point, a sort of half spin on the racing line. It just goes to show how treacherous and how tricky and challenging this track is, not just in the sunlight and in the dry, but also in the wet. So, and they haven't had that much track action either, so it certainly is dropped in at the deep end.
Well, their race followed the first of our 2 races this weekend for Ferrari Challenge, and we were just hearing from some of the drivers, weren't we, that towards the end of their race there were just a couple of little spots of rain on the windscreens for the Ferrari Challenge, and then we had the gap between the end of their race and the start of the classic race that we're seeing now, and that was when the rain started coming down really rather heavily. So it went from a completely dry track for Ferrari Challenge with a couple of little spots of rain towards the end to a totally wet circuit for the second race. So they had quite a lot to deal with. As you can see, there are just these little patches, aren't there, around the circuit. So there are elements that they need to be particularly cautious about, but very, very different, overall very different conditions today as to the ones that we had yesterday.
They certainly are, as they have made their way back round and lining up on the grid. Nearly underway for our first bit of racing action this weekend. Of course, the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic Series supporting the Ferrari Challenge UK.
One peeling off into pit lane, green flag at the back, ready to go.
We are ready to go. I think that same car peeled off yesterday as well to the pit lane right at the end. Hopefully they'll make the start as well. The green flag is flying. There's all eyes to the lights. And foot to the floor as we go racing once more in Oulton Park. And it's a brilliant start from our pole sitter, Wade Mars, making his way down into the braking zone of turn 1. The black Ferrari has managed to get out in front. They all make it nice and safely through the number 25. Making its way, Richard Fenny, round turn 1, navigating the traffic 2. Bit of a lock-up there, coming into 3 for the one of the red Ferraris out in front. I think that's one of the F355 Challenge cars a bit further up the field. The majority of this field made up of F355 Challenge cars, and a real mix of racing experience with our drivers in the field, some with no racing experience, some with some incredibly professional racing experience, all making sure they handle these Ferraris. They're their own cars, handle them with respect, and making sure they can really stretch their legs as 2 F355 Challenge cars, 4 F355 Challenge cars start chasing each other down.
And the thing about it, you make a really valid point. These are very cherished cars. They're looked after, they're cared for, they're prepared beautifully. Look how wonderful the field looks at the start of the season. So it's not quite as robust a racing as sometimes we get up and down the UK, because these are valuable cars that they want to look after.
It certainly is. Well, as he starts to settle down at the end of this first lap, it's actually Butler who has managed to get out in front. Chris Butler in the 328 GTB ahead of Walker and Simpson. So it's the number 5 car out in front at the moment. That is the black car, the 328 GTB, ahead of the number 73. That is Timothy Walker in the F355 Challenge car. So that is the battle up front at the moment. Meanwhile, 2 battles going on between the number 73. This is Tim Walker, and I think just making defensive moves to try and keep Simpson behind. Simpson might well have just got through in the other F355 Challenge car as they come across the main straight. We'll have a look and see which car is out in front. Is the number 46, so Tristan Simpson has got through. Walker struggling a little bit to keep that car on the road in the optimal racing line, coming under a bit of pressure, but Simpson now up and away and trying to hunt down Butler. And
we've had one car down into pit lane. It's the 56 car, Peter Mosley's car, so that's one of the cars from Group 2. It's a 308 GTB, and it's currently down in pit lane. It's just come to the end of pit lane. I didn't see whether it's gone back out on circuit, but 56 car.
Certainly is. Some decent headway made on the first lap. Miles Poulton making up 7 positions. He's currently in 6th in the number 28 car as well. Wayne Mars, yesterday's race winner, losing, I should say, 8 spots. So really not the best start for yesterday's pole sitter and yesterday's race winner. He's currently down in 9th in the number 60 car. That's a F355 challenge as they navigate their way through the chicane. The number 73 leading this little trio of cars coming downhill now. That's Tim Walker, currently in 3rd position, coming under pressure from the number 44 car. That is Christopher Compton Goddard. It's an F355 challenge trio, and then just behind them it's the all-white Vance Kearney car. Another F355 challenge, proving they can certainly still race around here, and it's actually Walker who's just putting a little bit of a gap now to Goddard and Kearney. Goddard now having to look a little bit more into his mirrors in the blue Ferrari F355 challenge car with the Italian flag adorned down the middle, being chased by the white car of Vance Kearney. 15 minutes and 53 seconds on the clock, and actually Goddard has managed to catch back up to Timothy Walker as we start another lap now on the main straight. It is still Butler out in front. He's pulled a gap of 3.5 seconds ahead of Simpson, Walker, Goddard, Kearney the top 5, Mars, Poulton, Fisk, Mosley, Riddick the top 10, Ferguson, Morwood, Benny, Mills, Claringbould the top 15, and Shearman, Sota and Mosley last of the registered runners in 18th.
Exceptionally close racing. Fastest lap of the race has been put in, perhaps not unsurprisingly, by the number 60 car, the race winner from yesterday, Wayne Mars, currently in 6th place at the end of 2 laps, 1:58.586. So that's the only sub 2-minute lap. Very, very brisk indeed. Remember we said that they look after their cars, and the racing is not robust, so they want to look after the cars. It is still exceptionally close, isn't it? The two 308 GT4s battling away, so there are battles right the way down the order. They've got 4 groups as we've described, all with varying amounts of power, and Wayne Mars in pit lane.
Absolutely. Yesterday's race winner, Wayne Mars, who has got one of the most bits of professional racing experience on this grid, having a chat with his mechanics and engineers back in the pit lane. So he was making a bit of progress, but has had to come in. Meanwhile, back out on track, as you allude to, Alan, the 308 GT4 cars doing battle in Group 2. It's Richard Fenny in the number 25, battling with William Morwood in the number 29, just behind him as well. Morwood did look like he was right on the rear of Fenny at one point, and he's just eased off ever so slightly as they make their way through the chicane and out once more. The sunlight glistening off of the front ends of all of these cars. Beautiful sunshine.
I remember when you could buy a 308 GT4 for a very reasonable, probably just sub £10,000. You could buy a 308 GT4. I'm going back to the 1980s.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure you'd be able to do that now.
You most certainly would not. No. And if you had have done, it would have been a jolly good investment.
Well, it certainly would have been, wouldn't it? Wayne Mars making his way around now, so he's just managed to get out of the pit lane, it seems, and able to carry on going. Still a car in pit lane though, so a couple of cars not being able to make the start, sadly. Sota Mosley down as not having made the start on our timing screens. Wayne Mars has now worked his way up to 5th after a bit of a poor start, so I wonder if that was Mars in the pit lane earlier. It might have been somebody else. We've still got a car in the pit lane, but out on track, a battle brewing once more. It's the number 73 in the F355 challenge car. It's Tim Walker being hunted down by that number 60 car. It is Wayne Mars in the red and white F355 challenge. The battle for 3rd at the moment, this is. So Timothy Walker coming under a little bit of pressure here for that final overall podium spot. Butler and Simpson have detached themselves ever so slightly. Butler leading this race with a 2.3 second gap ahead of Simpson. And then comes this battle that we're enjoying now, 12.5 minutes on the clock.
This march up through the field for number 60, race winner from yesterday, Wayne Mars. Wonderful pictures with the sunshine looking down. This really is the most beautiful circuit that you can possibly hope to go to in the UK. And when the sunshine comes out, you've got blue skies. Goodness me, it is nature and motor racing all together. Every single part of the Alton Park circuit is not only a challenge for the driver, but also an incredibly beautiful scene. And here we go. We've got this battle up through the order for the number 60 car. Needs to very, very careful, just picking the point at which a challenge is mounted for the race winner from yesterday towards the completion of now lap number 4.
Wayne Mars all over the back of Tim Walker for third as they make their way down into turn 1. Wayne Mars has a look down the inside, makes his presence very much known. Tim Walker shuts the door. Great battling here between the two F355 Challenge Ferraris, and while they do battle, they're bringing Goddard in the blue Challenge car back into the fight. Mars all over the back of the number 73 Walker car. It's 73 in front, ahead of 60. It's Walker ahead of Mars in the battle of third overall as they continue this battle too. Another one brewing in front of them. The 27 Ferrari car is making its way down the inside of the 88. That's Ray Ferguson down the inside of Andy Riddick. And that move has been made and away Ferguson goes.
And a lap completed. So, as we say, there are battles right the way down the order with 4 different classes. We've got class battles right the way down the order. We've also got the battle for the lead as well. 0.4 of a second the advantage for number 5, race leader. And as they have now completed 4 laps, this is the race leader now.
It is, certainly. You say the gap, it's really closed down. You have to say it was a couple of seconds Butler had on Simpson. So Simpson has managed to make incredible gains. Butler currently out leading the way in his 328 GTB in the Group 3 category. Is being hunted down by Tristan Simpson in the F355 Challenge in the Group 5 car. So 2 different groups going on here, but they're fighting for the overall lead of this race with 10 minutes to go on the clock. Simpson has absolutely hunted down Butler. Meanwhile, in the background as well, Mars still all over the back of Walker. So the battle for first, second, third and fourth very much on here this morning with 9 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. I think it looks like Simpson is lining up a move down the main straight. He gets alongside Butler. It's the red Ferrari on the inside into turn 1, down into the braking zone. The 46 car gets through on the number 5. That is a change for position and a change in overall leader. It is now Tristan Simpson leading this race ahead of Chris Butler. An F355 Challenge ahead of a 328 GTB.
And we're into the second half of the race now. We've got this battle which is closing up between the not only the top 2 but potentially the top 4 as well. So the way this is beginning to pan out, the last few laps of this race could be an all-out dash for the 3 podium positions, which is just brilliant. If you bear in mind how historic these cars are, how many years they have done on racetracks up and down the country, they are racing absolutely beautifully.
And I imagine all the drivers are absolutely loving the chance to race in these beautiful conditions as well. We'll have a little look now at
much
that
nicer
battle.
than yesterday,
Much
Harry.
nicer than yesterday. They were teetering round in the rain yesterday. Brilliant blue skies and sunshine today. It's actually a little bit hot. We've had to take our coats off in the commentary box.
I know.
It's all changed, isn't it? But still not quite changed yet for that position. For the overall podium in third, Tim Walker just hanging on ahead of Wayne Mars in the number 60. It's 2 F355 Challenge cars. A third one, if you bring along Goddard in the blue Challenge car too, who's just about hanging with them. And Vance Kearney in 6th behind them as well. So it could end up being actually a little bit of a quartet battle over this final podium position.
I think it will be. We've got 8 minutes left on the clock for race 2. They've got another race at the end of this afternoon to look forward to as well. And thus far, we've had so many elements of this race that are fascinating to watch how they're going to unfold in the final 8 minutes of the race. Up towards the line they come, and Wayne Mars just having a look. He's right there, ever so close. Couldn't be any closer. And as they go side by side, they complete now 6 laps of the race. Just got a nose in front, but traffic is going to play a part as well. It has done, and that's job done for Wayne Mars.
He is through. Wayne Mars up to third. Traffic management proving a massive challenge here as they navigate their way through some of the lapped cars, but it's Simpson leading ahead of Butler, now ahead of Walker, still registered in third, so he's got back through on Mars in the number 44 car. And Goddard has actually really caught up to the back of the number 44 car of the 73 of Walker. So Mars, yes, now up into third, as you say, ahead of Walker, who is now coming into the clutches of the blue F355 Challenge car.
Yeah, there's no rest, is there?
Once one move done, it's the domino effect, isn't it? They all come through.
You deal with one battle and then you've got another battle to fight as well. So 6 minutes and a half just over of the race remaining. And once again, the 73 car of Tim Walker has got to be careful being challenged.
Now that's another move. That's Wayne Mars making his way through on the number 5 car of second place Chris Butler. So Wayne Mars, now he's up and running. He's just set the fastest lap of the race despite making moves as well. And with 6 minutes just on the clock to go, Wayne Mars has got himself up into second spot, and it's only 1.9 seconds to the leader. Can Wayne Mars do it in time?
It's been impressive, this, hasn't it? He was down as far as 14th place, I think. So in a 20-minute race, to be picking off the places so impressively, this is a great drive from Wayne Mars. We saw it yesterday, albeit it was a race that was led from the front, but in very, very tricky conditions. This one has been a little bit more exciting as far as overtaking is concerned. Yep.
Simpson leading the way, 5 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock, ahead of Mars, Butler, Walker and Goddard, the top 5. And Walker coming under a bit of pressure from Goddard behind him, while also applying the pressure on Butler, who is now starting to struggle ever so slightly and has fallen quite a way back from second place man Mars. They're all having to navigate a bit of traffic as they make their way through towards Druids.
Still Mars with that overall fastest lap of the race by some considerable margin as well. A 1:56.639, the fastest lap of the race, and I think the closest fastest laps, personal fastest laps, are all in the 1:59. So pretty impressive, that.
It is impressive stuff. Mars though, just 1:56.6. Wow, that is super impressive. Chasing down 2.4 seconds now the gap. 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go, but this gaggle of cars that's making its way through the Britain chicane now, headed up by overall third place man Chris Butler, who's a bit of a stop in the bottle at the moment, ahead of Walker, Goddard and Kearney. Now, was that Wayne Mars getting through on somebody? I think it was a lapped run up, but still this battle continues. Butler ahead of Walker, Goddard having a little look with his nose there. Hasn't quite worked out. That's brought Vance Kearney in the white F355 Challenge into play. All evens out though as they make their way through once more.
Yep, it's all about picking the point at which to deal with the traffic, and you could just come across the traffic at the wrong point or the right point, depending where you are in that train. But at the moment, they are line astern and still picking their way through the traffic over the remaining 4 minutes of this second race of the weekend for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic.
It certainly is. Meanwhile, the number 73, Walker, makes his way down the inside of Chris Butler on the approach down the main straight. They're side by side, and he is through. Butler down 1, Walker up 1. Walker third, Butler fourth, and Goddard going side by side with Kearney. It's the blue Ferrari versus the white Ferrari, and Butler has to get out of the way as well while the two F355 Challenge cars come through. It's now still Goddard in front of Kearney, but I tell you what, Butler's coming back, and Butler is through on Kearney once more, so he let both of them through, got the up and under traction, a bit more straight line speed, and that Ferrari has managed to get through the 328 GTB, get back through on the F355 Challenge, but he is not giving up his Vance Kearney in the white Ferrari number 8 and absolutely blitzes past him on the straight and into the left-hander. Kearney back through. So after all that gaggle, it's now Goddard in fourth, Kearney fifth, and Butler, who, well, was at the front of this race at one point, now down in sixth.
Super battle this is. They're coming back towards us now, so they're on the return journey around the Alton Park circuit. Great circuit this, and when you get to use the full circuit at Alton Park, which is not used all the time, for example, for the British touring cars, we're on the shorter circuit, and it does provide closer racing for touring cars. These cars can stretch their legs down the straight and get that kind of racing that we've just seen side by side down the straight. Very exciting indeed, and we've got 2 minutes and 20 remaining in the race.
And with that 2 minutes and 20 remaining, Wayne Mars has now taken the lead of the race with the fastest lap as well, a 1:56.214. He's now managed to open his gap by 1.1 seconds. So Mars now, who was way down in 10th at one point in this race after a poor start off the grid in the number 60 red and white F355 Challenge Ferrari, now leading this race with 1 minute and 55 on the clock. Yesterday's pole sitter, yesterday's race winner, currently under the sunny blue sky here at Alton Park, on course to notch up another win.
Sounds glorious, doesn't it? It comes past our commentary box as it goes down into turn 1 at Old Hall Corner, and the car just sounds glorious. He's got clear track now in front and behind, so let's see what the lap time is going to be on this particular lap. 1:56.214 is the fastest lap of the race on the 8th lap of the race, so the last but one lap, and Wayne Mars now with clear track in front might be just thinking in the closing stages of this race about trying to put in another fastest lap of the race.
He's just having a bit of fun out there, isn't he? He's loving it.
It certainly sounds like it, yeah.
And that's what a lot of these drivers are here for as well. I think the moves being made just in the final podium placings as well. As Mars still continues to lead this race, we're getting into the very closing stages now. It's Mars, Simpson and Walker, the top three. Kearney has managed to get through on Goddard. He is now up into 4th spot, ahead of Goddard in 5th. Butler still holding 6th, and it's Mosley, Poulton, Fisk and Ferguson the top 10 overall. Riddick, Fenny, Morwood, Claringbull, Shim in the top 15. Mills, Mosley and Sota the top 18 as well. The leading Group 3 car is Butler. The leading Group 4 car is Mosley. And the leading Group 2 car is Morwood. As Wayne Mars makes his way round in what should be the final lap of this first race of the day, the second race for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic Series this weekend. We'll have another race right at the end of today, so if you enjoyed any of this action, make sure you stick about. Wayne Mars certainly enjoyed this action. The checkered flag is out for Wayne Mars, who takes yet another win here at Alton Park in the opening round of the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic. Just ahead of Simpson and Walker. Kearney side by side right at the end in the white Ferrari Challenge car, really trying to get on the podium. He just misses out on that occasion. And a waving round, hand out the window for Wayne Mars. Happy with that one. It wasn't all his way, with a poor start, having to cut his way through the field, but he did so in style. He is the overall winner, and of course our Group 5 winner. In Group 3, for the unmodified cars over 3 litres, that went to Chris Butler in the 328 GTB, who was leading this race overall right at the start. Our Group 2 leader ended up being Miles Poulton in the Group 4 leader, I should say, ended up being Mosley. Richard Mosley in the 328 GTB. And our Group 2 leader ended up being Richard Fenny in the 308 GT4. So excellent racing this morning to whet the appetite and get us set up for a whole day of Ferrari action. We'll have the Ferrari Challenge UK qualifying 2 in just a short while at about 10:05 before a bit of a gap before we then have the Ferrari Challenge UK Race 2 at just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then the third and final of our Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic races will get going from 5:10 to see out the action here on Saturday at Alton Park. A brilliant series this that the Ferrari Owners Club put on, a really friendly, relaxed club. They all enjoy being here, they all get on and enjoy the competitive spirit of racing as well. And confirmation there that Wayne Mars, after 10 laps, is the overall winner and the Group 5 winner, ahead of Simpson, Walker and Kearney. The top 4 really close right at the end to getting on to the final stop of the podium, but just missing out by less than a tenth of a second ahead of Goddard and Butler, who wins in the Group 3 category, 6th overall. Then it's Mosley, 7th overall, winner in the Group 4 category, ahead of Poulton. Fisk is our Group 3 winner, 9th overall, and Ray Ferguson rounds out the top 10. And it's Andy Riddock, 11th, Richard Fenny, our Group 2 winner in 12th overall, ahead of William Morwood. Tony Claringbould is 14th, Timothy Shim in 15th, Darren Mills in 16th. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see what Colin Sota and Peter Mosley had for us. Early ends to their race. Hope to see them out in action in our final race later this afternoon, as the sun continues to beat down here at Oulton Park. Beautiful weather for it, a few clouds in the air, but nothing that was quite as ominous and grey as yesterday, where the rain really began to pour down just as these classic Ferraris took to the track in what ended up being quite treacherous conditions, and of course really limited track running for these drivers. They're very much arrive and drive straight into a qualifying session. No practice, and it was a dry qualifying ahead of a wet race, and now the first dry race. So more and more experience gained. A good start from Chris Butler on pole position, and lockups from a few in the field, but the main action was coming courtesy of the F355 challenged cars. Wayne Mars working his way up through the grid after a poor start off the line. He was cutting his way through, as were the 328 GTBs making their presence known as well. The gaggle really was over those final podium spots as Wayne Mars continued to work his way up to P1, but Chris Butler was holding on to that spot very much so, while Wayne Mars made his way through on Vance Kearney, who was battling in the midfield, as were the 328 GTBs, making sure they had a bit of fun out there on track too. Once more, this was the move being done. Chris Butler losing the lead and then tumbling down the timing order as well. Wayne Mars really hounding the steering wheel of his F355 challenge car. Round the outside, down the inside of Chris Butler. That was where the move was done alongside him, and then unfortunately for Butler, that then allowed nearly everybody in the F355 challenge cars through. He put up a sterling performance to come home in 6th overall, but nothing could stop Wayne Mars from clinching yet another win here at Oulton Park.
Well, fair play with Wayne Mars. Did you get up this morning and predict that you would have a race quite the race you just had?
No, to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be quite like that.
So what happened?
When I was out on the outlap, I had a big warning come up, oil pressure warning 99999, so I had to come in because I thought it could be an engine. So
999 is definitely an emergency.
It was an emergency, but apparently when I come into the pits, it was fine. It was just something electrical. So I started in the pit lane.
So then you had the job of working your way through the field, which proved to be pretty exciting. Perfect conditions. You enjoyed yourself, yeah?
I absolutely loved it. I would much prefer to have started where I did than on pole. I did think it was going to be really greasy out there, but actually it was all right.
There were little patches, weren't
there? There were patches, but there was enough to get heat in your tyres, so you could overtake on the damp patches.
Yeah, so here we go.
That's all I was worried about.
So I'll make it, and the car is absolutely fine now, is it?
Fine, yeah, absolutely fine.
It gave us a brilliant race. Why didn't you start from the back of the grid for the last race?
Yeah, you can't always predict it being like that, can you?
I mean, you had great battles and great to watch, and you had...
Yeah, some of them I was getting past like easy, but like Tris and Tim and that, they weren't making it easy for me. It was quite
never
hard. No, I know. So
It's
that's good, but...
It's a superb circuit, isn't it? And there are places to overtake.
Yeah, it's a real driver's circuit. It's a brilliant circuit. It's one of my favourites. I love it.
And in these conditions, we've got a good day ahead, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, let's hope it just stays like this.
Thank you, Wayne. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. Many congratulations. Winner of race 2 of the weekend for the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic.